Hello and welcome to another episode of Anne of Green Gardens. Have you ever wondered what would happen if you planted the seed from a fruit? For example, from this kitty citrus. Well, let me tell you what would happen. You would get something much like this tree, which unfortunately, as you can see, is full of horrible, evil spines that are very, very painful to the touch. So the reason why you would not be able to have any edible fruit off of this tree can be found on my blog. So if you want to find out more about that, you'll have to read that. Moving on, I will show you how you can make this tree have edible fruit. So I have here some budwood, some cuttings from a friend's tree. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a bud from this branch and then I'm going to insert it into the rootstock. So the rootstock is the area of the plant that is growing, that has my roots, that is strong and healthy, but unfortunately we're not getting any of the fruit that we want. So what we can do in the family of citrus is we could graft or bud onto this citrus, lemon, tangerine, grapefruit, anything that we wanted because they're all related. And the first thing we're going to want to do is do tea budding. That is the best method for creating a new branch on here. So what we're going to do is have a new branch, and this is going to be an orange branch. So the first thing we're going to do for tea budding, which is done either in fall or spring, is we're going to make a cut, and it's going to be about 1 inch long, and then I'm going to cut about 1/3 of the diameter around the tree. Okay, so if the camera woman can come in here. First of all, I'm just going to sort of score the area and make about that cut that I told you that's about 1 inch long. Then I'm going to come around the top and just sort of go like this. Now you don't want to cut too deeply, but you also don't want to make too wimpy of a cut because we want to get down through the bark to a layer that's called the cambium. The cambium layer is the one that we want to connect between the rootstock, which is what I'm working on now, and the scion, S-C-I-O-N, or budwood, which is the shoot that we're going to add. So once I've cut in here, you're going to see that I can just open and peel back the bark really gently. Okay, see how that comes back really gently? And then you can see under there, that's the cambium. Okay, so we've made a little pocket. So now that we have this pocket, we're going to come down here with our orange, and I found a really nice bud that I'm going to use, and it's this bud right here. So I'm going to go ahead and cut off the area around it, okay? And then I'm going to take a knife, and it's usually best to use a florist knife or a grafting knife, and be very careful. And what I want to do is just cut this bud out. So I'm going to very gently cut like this. Woo! Okay, then I come on the other side and continue to cut. And eventually that little bud's just going to come right out. Now, if you are new to this, you want to really make sure that you remember which way the bud is facing. The bud needs to be facing the right direction. So here is my teeny tiny little bud. And now I'm going to take that bud and I'm just going to slip it into this little pocket that I've made. And what's going to happen is the cambium layer from the budwood and the rootstock are going to join together. Now to make sure that happens, I take a piece of grafting tape and I sort of stretch it out just a little bit. And I'm going to be really careful when I go around my tea bud to not cover up the actual bud. So here I go. I think I'm going to go around twice here, and then I'm going to go around the back. And like I said, being really careful not to cover that little bud up. Okay, so as you can see, it's as simple as that. And then I would tuck this under and make sure that it doesn't come undone. Oops. Okay, so what has happened here is we're gonna wait, and about 3 or 4 weeks from now, this union will be complete. Now we're not gonna really be able to see that, but we're gonna trust that it happened. And at that point, what we're gonna do is we're going to remove the tape. Okay, so the tape will come off. Then, depending on where you've grafted it, you'll cut this branch back to 12 to 18 inches. Now, since this is a really small tree, I don't really need to do that. But this area that's above here is called the nurse branch. So this branch is helping to develop, and it's photosynthesizing, and it's sending energy down to the bud. So you're gonna wait. Now, a couple weeks after that, you'll start to notice that your bud will begin to grow. So as soon as you see that this little bud is starting to push out new wood, this is the branch that's going to give you oranges someday, okay? So once that happens, you can go ahead and just take your shears and go ahead and cut right above that wood to about 1/8 of an inch, okay? So now you've seen how to do a successful bud on a citrus. And in a couple weeks, we'll follow up with this video to show you if the graft has taken and what we've done. And the other thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna graft some lemon to the tree and maybe some grapefruit. And what you can do is, as long as you have an area in between the buds where you can graft multiple times and get multiple branches. So you can have a citrus tree with every single type of citrus that you like on it. So I want to thank you for joining me on this episode of Anne of Green Gardens. And until next time, happy gardening.